A very good afternoon, and thanks for clicking on to the Monday edition of Vogan's European Outlook. If you didn't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I greatly appreciate it. I have, of course, surpassed 5,000 subscriptions, and it's been quite credible actually how much support everybody has given me. So I greatly appreciate that. Had a great weekend with my wife, my dad. We visited my grandmother over in Bestbrook, just on the outskirts, north side of Newry, and we had a great day trip over to Portrush as well. I'm sure many people watching this video will have memories of Portrush. I certainly have. I was fortunate enough to had a caravan in Portrush, and every summer, once I finished school, I used to take either the boat or the plane over to Northern Ireland, visit my grandparents, and we would go up to Portrush for 3 or 4 weeks every summer. Great times at Barry's Amusements, and really actually incredible how much money has been pumped into Portrush. I think really during the COVID period, there was a lot of money spent to kind of bring Portrush up to the standards that it is today. But it certainly is a terrific resort. It was busy, it was bustling, it was great to see actually how well the resort town of Portrush is doing. But let me know in the comment section below if you've ever been to Portrush. So my gran, of course, turns 90 this upcoming Wednesday, the 16th of August. What an incredible woman she really is. My grandfather passed away actually at the age of 90 back in 2017. So she's really doing remarkably well, living in her own house still. And it really is a true testament to her, how well she's done over the years. But I've been out of Scotland, of course, for 34 years. I moved away actually when I was aged 4, and then I moved to London for the first couple of years after moving away from Northern Ireland. And then, of course, I'm now residing in the north of Scotland, but I've been here, there, and everywhere. With my dad being a Baptist minister, he was also in the Salvation Army before Baptist ministry, so that was the reason why we've done a lot of moving around. But it was great to have her on the camera, yesterday, and my dad, of course, being on camera as well. My wife's a little bit camera shy, so I couldn't persuade her to come on and have a chat with us, unfortunately. But maybe one day I'll be able to coax her into it. As I'd promised, a little bit different with the global weather and climate report. It was a very brief one, of course. It'll be a little bit more back to normal again this upcoming Sunday. But, plenty of unsettled conditions remains in control. We're on the 14th, of course, pretty much bang slap in the middle of August now. It looks as if we have this higher pressure trend that will start to relax the atmosphere over the UK and Ireland. Temperatures have obviously risen as well, but over the course of this week, what we're going to see is an area of low pressure exit that is currently overhead at the moment. That will exit off to the east. Higher pressure will build in. We'll look at the chart in just a second. Higher pressure will build in, and then as we push towards the end of the week, we get another scenario similar to what was seen back at the end of last week, where an area of low pressure approaches from the west. Winds come in from a southerly direction. We see the temperatures rise up to 27, possibly another 28 Celsius. I think the maximum for the month of August is 28, or in and around 28 point something so far in August. It'll be interesting to see if we manage to hit 30 Celsius this month, by the way. But with all the rain in the ground, that could limit the amount of heat that we see. Drier ground, we would see warmer temperatures overall. This is the NAO, by the way, and it looks as if it remains predominantly negative. It has been negative right the way through this summer, give or take a few days back in mid-June, where we've seen the NAO slightly positive. The Arctic Oscillation also is fairly negative, as you can see here at this moment in time. Looking at the CFSV2 for the upcoming week, we have got quite a lot of high pressure over Europe to the north of the UK. We've got this little slice of negative here extending from the Atlantic into the UK and Ireland here, as you can see. So that means that we do have a situation where we've got slightly wetter than average conditions across the UK overall, and indeed warmer than average here, and it looks as if we step things up with regards to warmer than average as we push through the course of this week here. But the month so far is slightly below average, particularly so England and Wales, average across Ireland, Northern Ireland and Scotland here. I do think we will start to see the positive anomalies develop over the next week or so here as the pattern starts to kind of warm up, so to speak. But back to the CFSV2 here. Once we go into week 2, you can see here the temperatures are firmly warmer than average. Week 3, this takes out to the end of the month, into the early portion of September. Warmer than average conditions rules the roost here. Looking at the 500 millibar geopotential heights here off the model, you can see here that into week 2, the pressure builds across Europe. That's quite a warm looking pattern, isn't it, actually? And somewhat more settled pattern, but you can't really take that quite literal. It's obviously a 7-day mean, but you look at this, the precipitation anomalies here for week 2, you can see here it's firmly wetter than average across the northern UK and Ireland here, drier than average across more southern portions of the British Isles here. The period between the 26th of August and the 2nd of September, you can see here drier than average conditions, generally speaking here. So let's have a look at the ECMWF today, and this is the area of low pressure that is has been enhancing shower activity across particularly England, Wales and parts of Ireland over the last 24 hours or so as this feature moved through. You can see here off the radar presentation here some fairly heavy rainfall across northern England. We've got shower activity across the north here in Scotland and some shower activity across the southeast of the British Isles as well here. Those temperatures are pleasant enough out there, especially with the sunshine. Upper teens, low 20s across the north. We've got the low possibly knocking on the door of mid-20s in parts of East Anglia at this moment in time. Back to the overview chart for the ECMWF, you can see here that area of low pressure moves across the British Isles. Showers, longer spells of rain is the general flavour of the weather across the country today. As that feature exits to the east, we've got a higher pressure starting to develop here. Still always got that threat of shower activity with a little bit of cooler, fresher air in the mid to upper levels of the atmosphere. That kind of stirs up the atmosphere and creates those showers. But as the heights rise over the UK, we're going to start to see the shower threat kind of shrink somewhat. We are going to see quite a mixture of sun and cloud. In the sunshine, temperatures will respond very nicely indeed. With the cloud cover, always a little bit more limited with regards to daytime warming. But you notice here that the shower activity remains in place even through the middle portion of the week, and then it's all eyes on this next feature to the west of the UK. That is the game changer. But as that approaches from the west, will then generate a southerly flow. Temperatures go right back up across the board into the kind of low, mid, possibly the high 20s once again. So it's as we press towards Thursday and Friday, winds are starting to pick up as well as the isobars squeeze together a little bit. But a south to southwesterly wind, we could see even very warm temperatures into the mid to even possible high 20s. Northwest Highlands, for example, Murray Coast, places with a little bit of Föhn effect, could see warmer temperatures than what you would expect to see. Then there's that feature kind of spins, develops in the southern flank of that large area of low pressure over the Atlantic. That feature then develops and then heads our way towards the very end of the week here. So a thundery breakdown as the temperatures rise. We're already starting to see the end game to this increase in warm temperatures across this region. This could bring a fairly significant amount of rainfall in a short space of time as these bands then spin around that area of low pressure and kind of progress northwards through the course of Friday and into the weekend here. So some very bright colours representing some very significant amounts of rainfall here as we press through late Friday and into Saturday. That main band should clear to the north, kind of hanging over the northern half of the British Isles for into Saturday. Then there's a legacy of sunshine and showers and slightly fresher air behind this main boundary here, this main band of precipitation here. But you notice here some of these kind of brighter, kind of reddy colours underneath high pressure across Europe. Very, very warm temperatures, by the way, across the bulk of the European continent here. So it is quite a warm pattern, a little bit more changeable the further west you go here. Looking at the temperatures for Europe, you can see here it is fairly warm. This is off the Meteoseal website, of course. And look at these temperatures here. So a fairly warm, mid-August day across the bulk of the continent. A little bit fresher, not cold, but fresher across Scandinavia and indeed the UK and Ireland here. But certainly very warm temperatures across the majority of Central and Southern Europe here. Still not quite as warm as what we've seen back in the month of July, of course. So yeah, I think I've covered everything for now. Certainly hope you be sure to like, share, and subscribe, of course, to the channel. I do greatly appreciate that. Enjoy the rest of your day. I will be back again tomorrow. And, of course, we will be speaking more and more about the big picture, El Nino, the autumn pattern, how the tropics may play a significant factor towards the very end of the month, into the early portion of autumn as well, meteorological autumn, that is. And also, we will look at winter stuff as well. So there's plenty of reason to stick around here on markvoganweather.com. We also will score the summer forecast as well as we're pushing towards the very end game. A little bit warmer, a little bit more drier than I expected for the second half of August. I think the first half of August has played out quite well. The second half of August, probably not quite so much. So that will kind of decrease the score slightly. But I think overall it's been a pretty decent summer forecast, really. June played out quite well. July played out very well. And the first half of August played out very well as well. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of the summer forecast that I put out. Of course, it's available on markvoganweather.com, but also versus the reality of the actual summer itself. How have you thought about the summer, generally speaking, where you are? Let me know whereabouts you're watching the channel, and indeed, stay tuned for more. Enjoy the rest of your Monday, and I'll see you again tomorrow with more. Bye for now.